Okay, so this is chapter 1 for Finance 3000, an introduction. So remember to print out your outline. It should look something like that. Sorry, mine's on green paper at the moment, but you can get all these in Blackboard. So I'm going to have a series of chapter videos. Try to make them probably 20-30 minutes each. That will be for the shorter chapters. Some of the chapters I'll have part A, B, and C or whatever. So here we go. So what do you think of when someone says finance? Well, most people are going to say money, um, and that's what we're going to talk about. How do you kind of manage money as a corporation? How do you decide what type of businesses you should invest in? But I want you to think first of all about why finance is important personally. So just for a moment, think, why is it important to your own personal life? And I'll use this moment to make a plug for my other class, which is Finance 2010, which is basic personal finance. It's all online. My class is. There's another one that's in person. It's very easy, much easier than this class, but it deals specifically with personal finances, credit cards, home loans, stocks, investing in the stock market, retirement, insurance, everything really everybody should try to learn before they graduate. We'll touch on some of that during this semester, but if you're a finance major and you're going to go into financial planning, then I wouldn't take that class. I would take Finance 4100. Okay, so why is it important personally? Because we need money to live, food, clothing, shelter. You remember this from psychology class, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we also want money for a great number of other things, concert tickets, cars, whatever. Okay? Maybe you want to run your own business someday, so you're going to need funds for that. Here's a question, trivia question. What percent of full-time workers are living paycheck to paycheck? So pause me real quick, answer it, and the answer is, it's not on there, bummer. No. So the answer is about 2/3. 2/3. So this is why I think basic personal finance class is a good class to take, so that hopefully you're not going to be living paycheck to paycheck like so many Americans, unfortunately. So once again, why is finance so important? So you can read some of these statistics about millennials. I know you're not classified that really anymore, but 28% are experiencing a lot of financial anxiety, and that makes them physically ill. So there's a lot of connections between if you're having stress with your finances and your physical health. And the younger generation is about twice as likely to have that happen as opposed to the general population. So can money buy happiness is kind of the age-old question, and it's kind of yes and no. So you can see here on this chart that those that are making less than $20,000, this is percent of people that are very happy. You're down pretty low at 20%, and notice how it goes up. But then it starts to level off. And now this was done a few years ago, and so after inflation, you're probably looking at around about 90,000 today. And the point is, of the study said that once you get like your needs met, which you can easily do when you're making $90,000, and you are able to get some of your wants in, then you're about as happy as you're going to get. Right? So even Bill Gates and all those people that are making, Elon Musk are making billions of dollars, they're probably not going to be that much higher than a lot of people down here. Right? At least that's what the study shows. But when you're struggling to get by, that extra amount of money can make a difference. So as I mentioned a minute ago, if you have a lot of stress due to your finances, you can see right here how it can really impact your physical well-being. So a lot of reasons for why we should try to get our finances in order. So this is corporate finance. There's also personal finance, and there is some overlap between the two, but we're going to be focusing on corporate finance. So once again, the importance of why is finance so important. The most common causes of relationship stress. As you can see, communication is pretty high at 20%. But what is this big one right here? Of course, as you guessed it, money. Big relationship stressor. So think about how finance is related to your field. Some of you are business minors. You may think, well, I'll never have to deal with finance. Well, chances are, regardless of what your field is, you're going to have some contact, if you will, with financial situations, whether it be the budget that you might have to create, have to determine how much you're going to pay somebody, have to figure out if your department, if your business is going to be making money. So most individuals will in some way be impacted by financials. Excuse me. So what is finance? It is really the art and science of managing money. And no, we haven't got to the sheet yet. We're getting there. Okay? So just hang on. So art and science. So why is it an art and why is it a science? Well, science is simply we can plug it into a formula. $100 at 1 year at 4% will become $104. That's science, meaning that it's a formula, it's black and white, we can plug it in. The art part, why is it considered an art? Well, you could say because there's creative financing on how a business gets started. Or if you were to go to a financial advisor right after you graduated and you had $5,000, you say, what should I do with it? And you went to 5 different financial advisors, you could potentially get 5 different answers. Now, a lot of them would say put your money in the stock market, but they'd have different ways of doing it, buying individual stocks or mutual funds or whatever. So there's not always a black and white answer. So some people can do it better than others. And to be able to do finance well, you need to utilize a couple courses that you've already had. What are the 2 courses that you've already taken that help us to do finance better? 5 seconds. Okay, most of you got accounting, some of you got economics, okay? So accounting, when we go through at least a lot of the first few chapters, you're going to say, this is just like accounting class. And some of you are going to be really happy because you did well, and some of you are going to be cursing it because you're like, oh, I hate this kind of stuff. I wasn't a real big fan of accounting either, but there is a difference. When you get further down the road, there is a difference between finance and accounting. But accounting has the basics of, an income statement, a balance sheet, assets, debits, credits, liabilities. In finance, you need to understand all of that to be able to do finance well. So we will do a lot of review. You're going to have time value money, you're going to have balance sheets, income statements, ratios. A lot of that you have already done. We're just going to look at it maybe a little bit different way, approach it a little bit differently than you did in accounting, but a lot of it's going to be very similar. Okay? So just keep that in mind as we go through this. A lot of overlap, especially at the beginning. So I think financial analysis is a lot like a puzzle. You have all these pieces, and financial analysts are trying to always figure out what is the picture going to look like once it's done? What's going to happen next year? And they end up with the same pieces of the puzzle, but a lot of times they come out with a different answer. This is where the art of finance can come in. So let me give you some puzzles, see if you can figure them out, okay, in a second. First of all, I want to show you the fact that I went all the way back to 2008, because a lot of you probably don't remember what happened in 2008. But this is what analysts thought GM, the stock of GM, looked like in 2008. Notice some people said strong buy, some people said sell it, and then everybody else is in between here. So everybody's looking at the same pieces of the puzzle. They're looking at the GM's financials, they're looking at the economy, and they're saying, hey, some people think it's great, and some people say, no, you got to get out of it. That's where the art of finance comes in. Some people can do it better than others. And so what happened? We ended up with a recession, and GM went bankrupt. Okay, went bankrupt. And so the person that said sell, they were the person that got it right. Now, it would be hard to really kind of figure that out, and they were probably thinking of other reasons why it was a sell, but they ended up doing that, okay? So the pieces of the puzzle can also be the economy, not just the company, because you have to factor all of this in to be able to decide if this company is doing well or not, okay? So here we have, this is a chart of Chipotle, and we're going back to about 2016, and the stock was around $700 and had a big drop. Does anybody know what happened? E. coli in the food. No one wanted to eat there. The stock fell. Kind of kept going. Stock falls again. What happens? Again, E. coli after another whole year. People were starting to think, okay, when you look back, there's been other fast food restaurants that have had similar incidences, and about a year and a half to 2 years out, stock starts to come back as usually to get their act together. Well, here, Chipotle did it again. Bad thing to happen. This drop right here, some rats fell out of the ceiling in Dallas. Not good. Okay, so we're down below $300. Then it starts to kind of come back. They hired a new CEO to say, hey, we got to fix things because we're at 700. We've fallen more than 50%. So let me show you where they're at now. Okay, here is Chipotle stock. You can't see the dates at the bottom here. Sorry about that. This is 2018 where you see my cursor right here. This is kind of where we left off, down below like 300. And look what happened ever since then. They got a new CEO, no E. coli, and the stock is rocketed to almost $1,400. So they went from 300 to 1,400 in 3 years. And no, I didn't buy any. I kept watching. I kept thinking, I need to be buying some down here, and I didn't do it. Okay, so at the time, in 2017, okay, when the stock was down pretty low, this is what the analysts were saying. In the green here are the people, the analysts that thought, hey, we should be buying the stock. And there was a lot of them that were still uncertain, and some of them still saying to sell. And they were looking at all the same pieces of the puzzle, and the ones that said buy, boy, they really got it right. The other ones, not so well. Okay, so here's some puzzles. Which one of these two is bigger, A or B? Which one is bigger? Quickly, they are the same. So if we started in here, okay, they are the same length. Okay, what do you see right there? Okay, what did you see? It was very, very quick. I turned it back. Did you see the word good? Did you see any other words? Okay, so you might have also seen evil. So you can see good and evil. So this to me is just kind of a simple example. When you're looking at a balance sheet or an income statement, some people will only see one part, maybe the good part, and other people see kind of the evil or the bad part of it, and some will see both. Just depends on how well you're trained and can do this. What do you see here? So some of you'll see a person trying to wipe their face with a rag and kind of rub their belly, which would be kind of a bad thing, or maybe they're sick, whatever. Or you see two people making out. This is kind of a spooky one. This is two women. Now, some of you have done this in psychology class, I think. Right? Do you see the two women there? Two women in the same picture. Okay, well, one is a young woman. You can't see her eyeball. Her eyeball would be kind of like right here. Here would be her nose nostril, and she's looking out that way. This would be a necklace on her neck, okay, and in her hair, okay. So that's one example, one person. And the other one is, here's a big lady. Here's her big nose with a wart on it, okay, big nose, her big smile, and here's her eye right there. Okay? And here's her chin, and her neck would be down here. Okay, so anyway, kind of freaky, but it's another one. Okay, so I'm giving you just 20 seconds. How many F's are right there? Count the number of F's. Give you 5 seconds. Okay, time's up. How many got 3? Raise your hand. No, seriously, raise your hand. Thank you. 4, 5, 6. Okay, so in class I usually get people give me all of those. Well, how many are there? There are 1, 2, 3. That's what a lot of people come up with. But as you see right there, there's 4, 5, 6. So a lot of you flunked this, and it's very simple. All of you know what the letter F is, but you just didn't see it. You just didn't see it. So some people can do finance a little bit better than others because of the way they can see things or not see things. Don't get hung up if you don't do that well in the class. It's one of the harder classes in the College of Business. So don't sweat it. Here's the hardest one out of all of them. Figure out what goes in the triangle there. Each one of these has the same algorithm or the same formula to derive the number in the middle. Can you get it? Go ahead and put me on pause and try to figure it out. The answer is 3. 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. Times 2 is equal to 8. Okay? Same thing, 7 minus 4 is 3, times 2 is equal to 6. And over here then, 6 minus 5 is equal to 1, times 3 is equal to 3. So 3 is the answer. Okay? All right, so what do you do if you want to be a finance major? Some of you, for all of you, other than if you took the basic personal finance class, this is your first finance class. So I heard some students on evaluation say, well, this is easier for the people that have already had finance. Really, everybody's in the same position. You've all had accounting, the first class, and now you're taking finance, pretty much your first class. If you're thinking about maybe after you've taken this class, you know, you kind of liked it, here are some of the fields where a lot of our students go into. Okay? You can read those. I'm not going to read all the stuff on the slides. So to be able to do well in finance, it helps to be good with all of these items right here. And here are some salaries. Just a couple years old and they really haven't changed that much. Our average salary for finance majors is around $52,000. These are kind of after they've been in their field for a little while. Good thing about, and this is for all of you, regardless if you're going finance or not, is use the Occupational Outlook Handbook by the Bureau of Labor, and just Google that, you'll find it. And you can see what is the outlook, the growth rate. This is like the growth rate in jobs over the next so many years, few years here. And these are all finance related jobs, and you can see the growth rate is really, it's above average for all jobs there. Okay? And these are companies that have come to OU to hire our students. And now we're at the overview of the semester. So I want to make sure you have watched my 10-minute video or whatever in Blackboard about how all of these kind of fit together for what we're going to do this semester. There will be a few questions on that video that I posted. Just take a few notes when you go through it. And it's really pretty short. Okay? All right, so now we're going to get to the handout. So what we're going to cover for Chapter 1 are the following items there. Just going to touch on them pretty quickly. There's not really any math in Chapter 1 per se that we're going to cover. Some of the kind of key concepts and skills I have listed kind of at the top of your page there. All right, so on your handouts, all of your handouts, I have all these blanks for you to fill in. And the blanks are, to me, what I consider keywords. They just kind of help you take notes a little bit better during the semester, and you can see kind of what I think is important, what's going to be, you know, more on the quiz. Since you're taking this online, you can have these right in front of you when you take the quiz. That, of course, helps significantly with taking the quiz. But and that the fact this is a lot of math, there's going to be a lot of problems you're still going to have to work out, and just having that in front of you will help somewhat, but not as much as the qualitative questions. So important questions that are answered using finance are: what are the long-term investments? Where will we get the long-term financing? And how can we manage our activities for the firm? Okay. So I'm going to try to keep these videos to about 20 to 30 minutes. So we're going to take a break here, and this will be part A. I'll call it part A. And then the next part, we'll finish this up.